What did the panel think of Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett calling Texas governor, okay, she's from Texas, the governor, Greg Abbott, who is paralyzed and uses a wheelchair, she called him Governor Hot.
The Democrats are scrambling in a desperate attempt to imitate Trump, trying to recreate his presence, personality, and raw energy. But let's be honest, it's been a complete train wreck. Even Bill Maher wasn't fooled. He tore into the DNC for being utterly devoid of originality and authenticity. His critique was savage, hilarious, and absolutely accurate. Maher didn't sugarcoat anything. He shredded Crockett's so-called charisma, brushing it off as nothing more than podcast-level theatrics. Brutal. And honestly, if you're copying someone that blatantly, the least you'd hope for is a little praise. But Maher saw straight through it. To him, Crockett's performance wasn't bold. It was cheap, desperate, and painfully artificial. And let's keep it real. The person she's trying to copy, Donald Trump, didn't need fake accents, scripted patterns, or forced bravado. He just was. And Maher wasn't the only one calling it out. His guests spotted the same cringy imitation and landed a devastating blow. You'll want to hear this.
Congressperson Crockett is part of the new trend where informality is okay, where formality used to reign. Okay, fine. That's been going on since the 60s. So her routine is that she wants to bring a little bit of what I might quaintly call the ghetto cat fight into these spaces. I get it, you know, bring a blaxploitation movie or something into Congress. Great, work it. But you do not make fun of the fact that somebody lives their life in a wheelchair. That doesn't work.
Exactly. Democrats have finally realized that a brash, unfiltered personality feels far more genuine to voters than a stiff, overly polished one. So now they're trying to create a new breed of candidates who are loud, bold, and relatable. But here's the problem. You can't fake authenticity. Voters aren't stupid. They saw through Kamala Harris's awkward rehearsed lines and Tim Walz's holier-than-thou persona. And they'll see straight through Jasmine Crockett's manufactured swagger, too. Charisma isn't a costume you can put on. The harder they try to fabricate it, the more embarrassing it looks. Because pretending to be Trump without being Trump isn't strategy, it's comedy. And in case you haven't followed Crockett closely, she might have slipped under your radar until now. Watch this clip.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need.
Yep, that was the calm, composed, measured Jasmine Crockett before the DNC decided to transform her into their next project. Back then, she had an approachable, genuine vibe, smiling, steady, and easy to relate to. But ever since the DNC started grooming her for a leadership role, she's undergone a total personality makeover. The poise is gone, replaced with an exaggerated, overly emotional persona that feels staged and unnatural. She traded authenticity for theatrics, subtlety for noise. Now she comes off as a political actor trying to cosplay as the Democratic Trump. The irony? Trump never had to fake his bravado. Came naturally. Crockett's version feels like cheap political theater, hollow, overplayed, and painfully obvious. Voters can instantly spot someone performing a character. By copying Trump's fire without his foundation, Crockett isn't becoming a leader. She's becoming a consultant-built caricature that will collapse under its own fakeness. In a recent interview with Chris Cuomo, Bill Maher once again ripped into Crockett for mocking colleagues and slammed the DNC for enabling her.
And they make 1,000 jokes about it.
But he's a comic.
But it just shows you that, you know, you can joke about these things without
I'm fine with it. But when you cancel one person, because it's a black woman who's doing it, they're not going to cancel her.
Totally.
That's the problem.
You're right. She wears the magic armor. She wears a magic armor so she can do that. Yes, you're right. And both parties do that. Like when you're in our side, like if I made a fat joke about anybody in the world, how dare you from the left? If you make it about Trump or Chris Christie, it's just hysterical.
And on this, I'm right there with Maher. Let's be honest. If Jasmine Crockett weren't a woman of color, the backlash to her behavior would have been instant and unforgiving. But because she checks the right identity boxes, the DNC treats her like protected property. That's the problem with identity politics. Competence and character take a backseat to optics and tokenism. The DNC views everything through the lens of race. They weaponize it, hide their favorites behind it, and then act shocked when those favorites crash and burn. Just look at Kamala Harris. They boosted her, ignored glaring weaknesses, and labeled all criticism as bigotry. Now they're doing the same thing with Crockett, praising her publicly while quietly preparing the fallout. Not because she's incapable, but because the party prioritizes image over substance. And when that image cracks, they'll drop her immediately, pretending they were never involved. Just last month, Crockett even called Nancy Mace a child in a heated debate.
That somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans, so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or not.
Do not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those emails actually have. Chairman, I am reclaiming my time.
You will not do that.
Order.
That debate centered around the trans movement and the left's increasingly frantic attempts to appease it. It was a hot-button topic and tensions rose fast. But once Jasmine Crockett realized she was losing the argument on merit, she did what the woke left always does. She made it personal. Instead of defending her stance, she accused Nancy Mace of pushing anti-trans rhetoric just to boost campaign fundraising. Yep, according to Crockett, Mace wasn't presenting an argument. She was chasing donations. Pure deflection. And honestly, that's become the left's go-to playbook. When the facts aren't on their side, they instantly pivot to attacking motives. Why debate ideas when you can smear the person instead? Why respond with facts when accusations are easier? It's like flipping the chessboard when you're losing. They don't want debate, they want control. And the second they feel that control slipping, out come the personal attacks.
She's so rotten, she wants migrants picking cotton. We present to you Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who made this shocking argument why America needs immigrants. Roll it, Alfred.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
When the wheels fall off.
You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plant.
Beyond her painfully bad Trump impressions, we also have to address the constant nonsense Jasmine Crockett spews. Take her stance on open borders, shallow, uninformed, and completely detached from reality. Some commentators have even said that compared to Crockett, Kamala Harris, queen of word salads, sounds more coherent. And honestly, I agree. That's how low the bar has dropped. When Crockett defends illegal immigration with empty talking points, she reveals more than a lack of policy understanding. She exposes a shocking ignorance of Black history. She seems completely unaware of how unchecked immigration has historically hit Black communities hardest, from jobs to wages to political influence. It's like she's just repeating buzzwords without grasping anything deeper. Identity over insight, optics over outcomes. And in the end, it's regular Americans, especially Black Americans, who pay the price for that political ignorance.
That was some of the dumbest I ever heard in my life. Here's the thing. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. They never have a solution. Just listen to your dumb ass. You want to talk about agriculture? Why don't you fix the lottery? Why don't you make it easier for people who want to come into this country to work in agriculture and equitation and factories? Get rid of the lottery. Open it up. Talk to the president. Like, hey, we got a plan. We want to make it easier for people who can vet and come in and work in this country. Come up with an idea besides, any of y'all want to pick cotton? We're like, we're in suits in the middle of the Midwest. Why would we pick cotton? It's like the extreme stupidness of what she speaks.
Unfortunately, that's exactly who Democrats are grooming to lead their 2028 ticket. Someone loud, combative, verbally aggressive, and proudly dismissive of opposing views. They're convinced that copying Trump's tone is the key to winning back frustrated voters. But here's what they don't get. Trump didn't win because he yelled the loudest. He won because he presented an alternative policies that resonated with working-class Americans and the guts to stand up to the woke mob. People rallied behind him not because of his insults, but because he spoke directly to their frustrations. While elitist politicians obsessed over social justice theater, Trump focused on everyday struggles. Democrats think they can recreate that magic simply by cranking up the attitude. But without substance, courage, or results, all they create is noise. And voters can smell that phoniness from a mile away.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
When the wheels fall off.
You're not. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
And here's something that really needs attention. Democrats love calling out others for hypocrisy, yet they ignore the hypocrisy in their own ranks. Take Jasmine Crockett, for example. She criticized Congressman Byron Donalds for being married to a white woman, implying it was some kind of betrayal. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, the former vice president, is also married to a white man. But the outrage mob stays quiet, and it doesn't stop there. Bernie Sanders constantly rants about the dangers of oligarchs and billionaires, yet his own party is funded by some of the biggest megadonors in the country. Want oligarchs? Look at George Soros and Reid Hoffman, two billionaires funneling millions into democratic operations, shaping narratives, and influencing outcomes from the shadows. So the next time they preach about equity or justice, remember, they're not dismantling the system. They are the system, and their double standard isn't a flaw. It's the entire framework. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching and see you next time.